Why must the soldiers even move to clean while having the AK-47s? But I really want to assure you, defense is always very, very much key, and you must always be ready and prepared for all the eventualities and ready for everything that is to happen, and all that is also to enable you live peacefully. And that is also where we do not also want to take risks. But of course, we didn't see that happening yesterday. And if you look at many streets also within Arua city, definitely it's very, very much clean. And I really want to say, if at all this task was given, maybe the UPDF will be able to see Arua city to the cleanest. Why am I saying this? Look at some of those areas along Lobida, which of course used to be dirty spots. Today the garbage is off those streets. We have seen the area thoroughly being cleaned, and yesterday we were able to see the team now moving, that is to Arua Regional Referral Hospital, where they were able to remove garbage off the streets, and we were able to see them also cleaning the hospital right from the top up to down, where they were able to sweep and remove caveras of the facility in there, which also they left also really very, very much clean in there. And this is also where we must appreciate the UPDF, who were joined by members of the sister forces, that's of Uganda Police and Prisons, and together with Office of the Resident City Commissioner, that is led by Salim Kumakech, and one of the assistants who was also vividly seen cleaning the streets in there. And this is what exactly we want to see. We want to see Arua city be maintained with cleanness, and that is also something at the end of the day where we are going to be all happy of, because there's nobody who wants to live in a dirty environment. All of us, I believe, want to live in an environment that is very clean, except if you already confirmed a mlalu, what we call a mad person, or azaba in this local language in here, and maybe if you're confirmed as that, definitely you may not be minding of a clean environment. But of course, any sober mind, any sober person out there who is normal must always want to relate to an environment that is very much clean. And that's why at the end of the day, we are always appreciating what is being done by whoever, to make sure that also they do something when it comes to environment. Also in there is something which at the end of the day, which also we must also be appreciative of. Now in Arua city, this celebration has been led also really by the 49 Battalion, and that's also where we did see the brigade, also the 409 Brigade also sitting in Bondo, was also seen in Arua city doing this, led by Lieutenant Nathan Kano by Mugisha. We were able to see them also really cleaning the streets very, very much well. And I must appreciate all the troop members who also really made sure that they did their part in making sure that Arua city gets to breathe very, very well out of also the choking state of garbage in there, because garbage remains a great concern. We are still seeing Arua city also grappling with challenges of garbage, and the fact that also the city does not have a facility to dump the garbage yet is another factor, which also could be adding and also piling the pressure of garbage management in the city here. And this goes back to the leaders. Let's identify resources and let's identify land also where this garbage can be kept within the city, other than also really ferrying it off. That's the district, which also really is a facility, which facility also really I must say, is already becoming overwhelmed. And that is also something at the end of the day which would be very, very much bad for the city in the future. If at all we do not plan our garbage right now, the state of what exactly happened in Chitezi, God forbid, also will be happening in the Western Sub-region city of Arua, which also will be having a dangerous implication and a bad also the example also to the world in there. That means to avoid all that, my humble appeal to the leaders, my humble appeal to all the relevant stakeholders is that let's mind of also identifying land, which of course already I believe is happening, and I don't understand money worth billions and billions will be looked also for purchasing this land, as another land is already said to have been identified within the city. And this is where at the end of the day we hope this can be actualized, and all the proper measures must be put in this land to also avoid what exactly we did see happening in Chitezi, and that would at the end of the day make us live in a peaceful city. And we must also want to say that we shall be competing with the rest of the cities also to make sure that we are peaceful, we are clean, and we are trouble-free in there, because if you look at disaster, many of the times these are things that we are not prepared for, but we also really find ourselves bumping into them, and at the end of the day we see this happening and also negatively implicating on our, and also impacting on our society. So I think to avoid all these troubles in the next coming years, because the population in the city is already increasing and we are seeing the city also really expanding its boundaries. So I think to avoid also the challenges of garbage disposal in future, the time is now for the city leaders also to make sure they identify that land and also make sure they raise funds and pay that also land. And this goes back to you, the taxpayer, because they are not going to be buying this land using their own pocket monies. But the money must come from the city taxpayers. It must come from me, it must come from you. And we must also really make sure that we pay the monies timely to avoid troubles. And that would, at the end of the day, also really enable the city leaders now to identify this land, which also they will be also identifying and paying also timely in there. And that would also really, at the end of the day, make us now live in an environment which will be very, very much good for us as a city and also as a town, also for us to be identifying that land in there. And that is also something at the end of the day which will make us very, very much proud, because for people to die, just like what we did in Chitezi last year, I really want to say it is very, very much bad. And for garbage to kill people, it means that is also an example which also other cities also really must also really be able to also really relate with. And that's really something at the end of the day which would be very, very much bad also in there. Now leaving that discussion aside and now to look at some of the issues, one of the discussions that has been also really moving on in the corridors of current affairs has been the fact that also really Kano retired Kizza Besigye wasn't presented, that is all before the civilian courts. But a demand also that also came following the ruling was that all civilians who are being tried under the military court must stop. And the operations of the military court was halted, and that leaves also really the fate of retired Kano Kizza Besigye together with his counterpart, that is Haj Obed Lutale, also in balance. And that means questions have been asked when they will be presented before court. But of course, we did see lawyers also coming out to also talk about this issue. And yesterday, we were able to see this also becoming a contentious issue, most especially amongst lawyers, also in the defense team. But of course, we shall be keeping you posted in terms of also really more developments in that. And that is where, at the end of the day, we have been able to see many people also talking about also the fact and also talking about and also expressing their dismay about this army court. And we did see army court also talked about also a number of people, and one of those persons who was also subjected to military trial under the court martial was lawyer, that is Caleb Alaka, who also came out and said army court held us for 7 hours and ordered we pay shillings 1,000 in coins. And that's really something which we did see. One of the lawyers who has been representing representing the best justice 2005 also told this and said for senior lawyer Caleb Alaka, his pains with the military court started also when he was showed up as one of the defense lawyers for retired Kano Kizza Besigye in the year 2005, and Mr. Alakan colleagues were representing Dr. Besigye, and then President, that's for Forum for Democratic Change, alongside also 22 others who were charged also with treason and associating with also the so-called People's Redemption Army, that is the PRA, a shadowy also rebel outfit. And that's something which we did see happening where Dr. Besigye then also faced grave charges whose maximum punishment was death by hanging. Now the match in the best general court martial was chaired also by the then also, that is Bushwo, that is also General Eli Tumwine, who is now deceased and is as its first chairman. And Mr. Laka says he soon also ran into trouble and was sentenced to jail for attempting to defend his co-counsel, that is Mr. Erias Lukwago, now Kampala Lord Mayor, who had been held in contempt of court also in there. And that's really something which this happened. That means the troubles that have been also coming out from the general court martial have not just started now. For many who have also been subjected to under to also this kind of trial, definitely we must be knowing also that this hasn't just started right now. But recently we did see lawyers led also by Caleb Alaka together with Elias Lukwago and Medad Segona. We did see them also moving to court to challenge the operations of the military court. But of course we did see the outcomes. Court also came out to declare to cease operations of the army court also, which many people have been asking themselves, is this now time that we were able to see the civilians win over the army? Or the question is, are we expecting the army now to devise new means to continue with the kind of operations? These are questions as we are also seeing, and of course, if you are an army person watching right now, these are questions we are expecting you to also respond to as you are celebrating your day. Today happens to be the 6th, which is of course an important day in the lives of the army today as they celebrate the Army Day in there, and this is also something which we did see happening, tracing its origin way back to the 80s when we did see the NRA also moving, also being started in there, and of course we still continue to celebrate with them because they are celebrating this day to also celebrate the community for the tremendous support towards the army, because when the NRA was started, not everyone was a soldier. We had civilian troops. What do you mean by civilian troops? We had people who were supporting the soldiers, who were not also at the forefront of the fighting, who never also had the gun and who never held also the army uniforms. For them, they were able to sort of contribute in another way. Today, we have a number of them in Western Sub-region who are being compensated. We did see also a number of them, and recently I was able to visit one of the former army men who also had the tremendous support, who also played a big role also in the liberation of his country. That is also something we did see happening, and we were able to visit him in his home that is just within a rural city, and was able to also give us an image of how things were back then. And really we still continue to also see this happening as he continues to demand for his compensation together with his also troops. Definitely we hope the government also will be responding to his cry, as we did see people under the UNRF also one, under the UNRF 2 who are being compensated. And for him also he says he wants compensation together with his also groups, as we still continue to follow up in there. And that's really something which we did see happening, and we shall be keeping you posted in terms of also more developments coming out from today, because the event will be going on across the country. Different centers will be also, of course, celebrating this, and we shall be coming here to keep you posted about also the what we call the also the sister in there. And that's something which we are going to also be following up on, and we shall be keeping you updated of what also comes out of the end. Now in Masaka, we did see Greater Masaka getting infrastructure development boost for hosting that is the Sita celebration, and this is also the beauty of such celebrations where we also receive first lifts. Now districts in Greater Masaka have been seen in the revamp also as they are also restoring and also giving a first lift to also the infrastructure. And we did see health centers and schools also who have been hosting this, the 44th celebrations, did also receive a first lift in that. Now among the beneficiary institutions include that Ndolo Health Center 2, which is being renovated, a new also the outpatients department, and a toilet in Kakuto Health Center 4, and 5 also stands pit latrine construct. That's at Chiasimbi Primary School in Mutukula Town Council in Chotera District. And this construction and repair also works also done by the UPDF Engineering Brigade, also part of the activities to mark the Tarehe Sita. And remember, this during this week the UPDF is giving back under its corporate social responsibility, and part of the activity also is in health, and that's why we are seeing such facilities getting the first lift, and of course also cleaning a number of areas in there. And this is also something which we did see happening across the entire country, where the army also have detaches and barracks. We have been seeing them also doing this instrumentally, and we definitely also appreciate them and want to say thank you so much to them for also ensuring that they do some of these activities as they celebrate their day. And Miss Sylvia Narumaga, the head teacher that is of Chiasimbi Primary School, said the school had only one dilapidated pit latrine, which was being shared by both the pupils and the teachers in there, which is really quite absurd. And for them to have such also facilities, definitely we have to congratulate the UPDF, but the demand also goes back. The responsibility of taking care of these facilities goes back to the schools. I mean, the authorities in the schools, the teachers, the pupils, to make sure that they use these facilities very, very much well in there. Now, Mr. Lawrence Sechondwa, the Chotera District Education Officer, said the district budget for infrastructure is very limited, and many projects are usually pushed to the next financial budget, and that's really something which also could be affecting not only Chotera District, but the entire country, and where many districts also continue to complain of the budget. But my humble question always is that how do you utilize the available resources? How do we use them? And how do we also add value to the little monies government is always giving out to us? Because why am I saying this? Many times we also tend to talk about issues of corruption and corruption has often ruined our development and has often affected the country's development when it comes to some of these infrastructure developments. And that is something which we cannot deny. Definitely, we must also agree to that corruption has greatly stagnated this country's development. And today, where we are now seeing many people depending on the UPDF, and where many people are now trusting the UPDF engineering brigade. Why? Sometimes we get contracts like this, we give them private contractors, but at the end of the day, the kind of works they deliver is very shoddy and does not even add up to kind of money government is dispersing to these also the entities. And that's why at the end of the day, we still continue to also cry about corruption, and we still continue to blame corruption as a factor derailing our country's development. But the question is, how can we now change our mindset, and can we now also remove our focus in terms of also wanting to benefit quickly from money in terms of corruption? Let's also have it in mind that the facilities we are being contracted to undertake is for us, is for our family members, is for our children, is for each and every Ugandan out there. So I think it's also very much important for the local contractors to also really embrace issues of doing quality work. And if that's not the case, many government projects will continue going. That is for the engineering brigade, who are always who are focused in terms of doing their work. And we have also seen this, and many of the projects that have been undertaken also really by the engineering brigade, I want to show you, are being appreciated. But projects given private entities are always having problems. I do not want to mention companies, but of course I can mean to highlight over 10 companies whose projects are said to be stalling. We have quite a number of them, and one by one I can mean to mention them and the kind of projects that are being undertaken, but I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to spoil bills for them, but my appeal will be to them that let's make sure, if we get a chance, because you apply for these projects, do kind of work that is quality. Make sure that your works also must speak also, and each and everyone must also not raise eyebrows in terms of also your there, and that's something at the end of the day that would be making us very, very much proud. In now, at least 41 military officers and civilians will be awarded medals for their outstanding also contributions towards the development of this country, and this will be under the theme celebrating Pan-African solidarity and the people's sacrifice in the struggle for freedom and democracy for socio-economic transformation. And that's the theme which we shall be celebrating this day under WID. And we want to wish each and everyone who will be being part of these celebrations also a fruitful day in there. And we want to hope that they will be also continuing to make the UPDF very, very much professional, and as they also continue to serve the country with also really a lot of also really professionalism in there. And that's something which is happening, and we hope at the end of the day we shall be also really also talking about more of that in there. Now, for bank staff convicted also really of aiding client in 200 million loan scam. And if you look at also issues within the banks, also yesterday we were able to see also Uganda police also continuing the search for money worth billions and billions that also was stolen from Bank of Uganda. I will be also touching that discussion later on. But now, on the morning papers, that is on the Daily Monitor, we are seeing former Cairo Bank credit official convicted of aiding client also in shillings 200 million loan scam. And that's where we did see Buganda Road Chief Magistrate has convicted and sentenced a former Cairo Bank credit official in the names of Speciosa Nasuna, a 43-year-old, and businessman Robert Kisolo, of conspiring to forge documents and obtain 200 million loan from the Cairo Bank. And now Chief Magistrate Ronald Keizi found Nasuna guilty of smuggling a forged evaluation report into Kisolo's loan application file, and that's something which we did see happening. And definitely this goes back to each and everyone out there. If you employ to do something, let's do the works very, very much well. Let's mind of our employers. Let's also do this work solely to make sure that also the issues of also corruption is not also happening in there. And that's something which we did see happening. And yesterday we were able to see her being also sentenced in there. And that is not also the only case. We are able to see Uganda police continuing with the search for evidence also really into the money heist that was involving, that is Uganda Bank, where money which is also really amounting to about 60 billion also disappeared in thin air, which also really we did see happening. But yesterday we were able to see Uganda police also really moving into the homes of the suspects who are being also investigated to look for evidence also involving this money that disappeared, where many people have been talking about this issue, but we shall be also really letting you know out of also what will be coming out of court. But of course, what we did see happening yesterday was the fact that we were able to see 2 vans belonging to Uganda police accompanying the 2 suspects to their homes also for searches, and we shall be also waiting now for a report from the Uganda police, hopefully on Monday during their Monday press briefings, and I will be keeping you there for updated on Tuesday in here. But for now, we are going to be pausing with the discussions now as we run for a short commercial break, where I will be taking also some bit of cold water, and when I bounce back, I will be continuing with the discussions. And this is still the Kokoliko Live Show on West Nile Television, channel 477 on StarTimes, and we are as well on Zuku, that's on channel 0073, and Azam, we are on 369, of course, online across all our socials, and that means you must not be worried of wanting to access West Nile Television. You can access us on those platforms where you will be watching us each and every Mondays to Fridays. My name remains Farish Majid. It's a short commercial break. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
In the dance of shadows and light lies the heart of Uganda's resilience amidst the challenges of the night, where innovation meets necessity and education refuses to be dimmed, where connection thrives in the absence of power. Embrace the power of the sun with StarTime's solar range of solutions. And empower your journey towards a brighter tomorrow. StarTime Solar. Power your life.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back from the short commercial break, and I really want to show you so many things going to happen in the country, and of course I'll be breaking down on what continues to happen in this country as we get to move on. But I really want to show you in also Kawempe North, things are getting interesting as we're able to see candidates also vying for these positions, showing their interest. And we did see also social media taken up by Awash, also by messages, also of both mixed reactions, and this is what we did see happening following the declaration of one of the musicians in the names of Muchibi Sadat, also known as Khalifa Ganaga, as the party flag bearer for Forum for Democratic Change. Many people have come out to talk about this issue, and remember from also really what we did see happening recently. We did see in 2020, the musician also was denied also the party ticket to aspire in Tobago South in there. That is under National Unity Platform Party, but this time around he will be vying for also the by-election of Kawempe North as also as a candidate under Forum for Democratic Change. But of course we did see that happening yesterday, and he will be wearing the blue suit also in there. And many people have been able to also talk about this matter, and they think also really maybe it's time a musician can take up the position. But of course we are still following up on where many people have already expressed also really interest in the various political also really parties, as independents also as well have also expressed also really interest. And I want to assure you many of those are under the National Unity Platform Party, where 10 people have already expressed interest, and some of those who have expressed interest also really wanting to replace the late Segrinya, who died also already earlier this year. Also we do have Mr. Magala Umar, another candidate who is vying for this position. We have Mr. Mulumba Matthias, we have Mr. Nsereko Moses, we have Mr. Kachika Frederick, we have Mr. Charles Bangu Muya, we have Engineer Senkun Kenneth, we have Council Luimbazi Elias Narukola, we have Mr. Serunkuma Salim, Mr. Luemba Luswa Muhammad, and Mr. Kulia Saulo Ziwa, who are all vying for this party ticket, and that's of the National Unity Platform Party. As we all know that Mr. late Segirinya Muhammad, who died this year, was also really under NUP in there, and definitely that could also be indicating a reason as to why many of them are coming under this also the party also in there. But of course we are still following up on, and really it's getting interesting, and we shall be seeing now the election vetting committee will conduct that also the vetting and screening session. That is today also the Thursday 6th, that's also 10 and 5, for persons who expressed interest in carrying the party's also the flag in the Kawempe North Member Parliament by-elections. And this is also something which we shall be coming back and also let you know tomorrow, whether they will be giving it also out to some of these candidates, and I will be assuring you to who exactly they will be giving this party flag today, and that will be tomorrow. And of course this also will be, the party will also be organizing, that is also by elections for the Kazo LC3, that's Kazo Angola Ward LC3, that's in Kawempe, and we shall be seeing them also really organizing a by-election where two people have already expressed interest in wanting to also represent the party in this by-elections, where we do have Mr. Iga Musa Ngobia and Ms. Setuba Habiba, who are all also going to be subjected to a vetting committee on who exactly will be identified as also really the party's next flag bearer in these by-elections in there. And that's something which we shall be keeping you posted on, and that's also something where you must also be waiting from Western Television, as we shall be coming back to keep you more updated on that discussion later on. But of course, as we get move on, so many things as well continue to happen, but we shall be letting you know who exactly will emerge victorious in these by-elections as we are following up on. Now also we did see that's something which we did see happening, and we shall be letting you know who exactly will win these also the elections. But as we get move on, so many things going to happen, and this is also where we did see also Arsenal Football Club being thrown out of one of the most interesting leagues I will be letting you know that later on, and this is also where I will be breaking down on some of the results of some of those games that also did go yesterday, and that's something at the end of the day we shall be coming back to also let you know. Now, Prince Rahim Aga Khan IV has been named as the 50th Imam of Shia Ismaili Muslims. And remember, Prince Rahim Aga Khan V was named yesterday, and this also comes at a time where we did see also Aga Khan IV also dying. That is in Lisbon, Portugal, and that's something where we did see now Prince Al Hussein Aga Khan V has been named as the 50th hereditary Imam of the Shia Ismaili Muslims, following the passing on of his father, that's Prince Karim Al Hussein Aga Khan IV in Lisbon, that's in Portugal. Now the transition marks a crucial milestone for the Ismaili community, which has been led by a living hereditary Imam for over 1,400 years, according to a statement that is by the Diwan of the Ismaili Imamat, released that is on February 5th of 2005. Now Prince Rahim Aga Khan V is a direct also really descendant of the Prophet, that's according to them, peace be upon him. That is only where we did see also his progeny is through his daughter, that's Hazrat Bibi Fatima, and the Prophet's cousin, and also son-in-law Hazrat Ali, the fourth rightly guided Caliph of Islam, and the first Imam also of the Shia Muslims in there. And that's something which we did see happening. Now many people could be asking themselves on who exactly this man is. Now Prince Rahim Aga Khan V is the fifth hereditary also Imam of the Shia Ismaili Muslims, as designated also by his late father, that's Prince Aga Khan IV, in accordance also with historical Shia Imami Ismaili tradition. And he was born, that's on the 12th of October 1971, and Prince Rahim is the eldest son of the late Prince Karim Aga Khan, and the first also and his first wife Princess Salima in there. Now Prince Rahim was educated at Phillips Academy, Andover, and graduated in 1995 from Brown University with a Bachelor of Arts, that's in Comparative Literature. And Prince Rahim also he has two sons from his former also wife, that is Princess Salwa, and these are Prince Irfan and Prince Shinan, and he serves, that is on the boards also of many agencies of Aga Khan Development Network, and has closely also followed the work of the Institution of Ismaili Studies and the Ismaili Community Social Governance. And now Prince Rahim has been also particularly concerned with the Akdin's drive to protect the environment and mitigate the effects of climate change, serving as its chairman of the environment and the climate committee in there. And that's really a brief background of this young man who also will be replacing his father. And if you all know the Khan Foundation, definitely you'll be knowing to the extent of which they have been contributed. They have also been contributing to the country's development. We have also seen a number of investments being put up, that is by the Khan Foundation and the Khan family in there, and that's really something which we did see happening, and we shall be there for keeping you more updated in the coming days if there's any story that will be coming out from that family in there. But of course, as per now, we are going to be pausing with discussions that is also in there, and now that's something which we did see happening, as we are seeing the time and the clock ticking. Many people have been talking about the issues of reforms. Now we did see Attorney General dropping that's a bombshell on government electoral reforms, and if you look at the government electoral reforms, many people have been demanding for this, where we have quite often seen activists demanding government also to come up with some of these reforms, but up to date, nothing is being done. And that means we shall be also now seeing, now with less than 10 months to the nomination of presidential candidates, the Attorney General, that's Kilio Chiwanuka, has told Parliament that he is not aware of any reform from the government, and Mr. Chiwanuka, whose chambers also are mandated to draft all government draft bills, said they have also not received any instruction from the Justice Minister, that's Norbert Mao, about the proposed reforms. And remember, the said minister also came up with some reforms, but up to date, nothing is being also undertaken, and nothing is also being taken to Parliament for debate. And we also hope at the end of the day, the time is running, because if you look at the clock, it's surely ticking. And if you look at 10 months may not be enough to implement some of these reforms. And one of those reforms also really, which I wanted to also really see very, very much also really seriously taken, is the issue of the councillors. the educational demands, the reforms also in terms of also the qualifications, which has also been lacking. Because if you look at it right now, it's flat. Each and everyone can apply for this, except that's also on condition if you have a national ID and 50,000 plus some few members. And I really feel this is not enough. What about for member of parliament? Senior 6 is also really required for one to vie for this position. But how, at the end of the day, is this going to be impacting? Is it enough for a senior 6 leaver in this current era to understand some of these laws? I don't want to say definitely it's not. Maybe back then, where a senior 6 leaver would give enough time to also understand some of these laws. But today, a senior 6 leaver is flat. Doesn't even know what's happening in the laws, doesn't even understand what's happening in the world of current affairs. And at the end of the day, we're allowing such people to vie for these positions. And once they move to parliament, the repercussions are always there, and they're also grievous. So I think at the end of the day, we needed that reform also already. And then the issue of monetization of the politics. Our politics today is very, very much monetized. To the extent that if you're not having money, people may not vote for you because people are now voting salt. People are voting bars of soap. People are voting the small 200, 500, 1,000 shillings that they give them. So at the end of the day, that is also where I wanted government to come up with these reforms and to make sure that we also really see changes in the 2026 general elections, and to also make sure that some of these are taken also into serious consideration, and also amendments must be made on some of these laws. So at the end of the day, that would also be very, very much. That is also another issue which we did say. Now the bills are Constitution Amendment Bill and the Electoral Commission Amendment Bill. Some of the laws which also the publication which Mr. Mpuga intended to also take. And also before Parliament for also some of these changes to be passed in there, but up to date, nothing of this is also really being undertaken. And remember, we shall be still following up on this and to make sure that also really some of these undertakings are given serious consideration. It means you as the voter, if at all you want to see some of these also really reforms being undertaken, it must start with you, the members of Parliament which you vote, whom you voted. You must start holding them accountable. You must specialize in them. You must ask them questions, because if you look at this time round, they are already with you in the communities. Start asking them these questions. What have you done on the reforms? What are we expecting? And when shall we see these reforms being passed? Definitely the pressure will be mounting on them, and they will be heading back into Parliament to make sure some of these laws are amended. Because if they're not amended, they leave us also really in suspense. They leave us also really in questions which at the end of the day have no answers, and that's something at the end of the day would be greatly impacting on the kind of elections and the quality of democracy that the country also will be putting out. But I hope at the end of the day, we are working closely to make sure that some of these bills are amended, and that's something at the end of the day where I will be posing also with these discussions as we get to move on. But as always, to summarize the discussions with what's happening in the world of sports, so many issues continue to happen. Teams as preparing for the second legs, which also will be returning anytime from now. But if you look at also the standings for the big league at the moment, you will get to see that also our teams are not placed away from also getting qualification. If you look at the table right now, Gaddafi is currently sitting on top of the log with 30 points, as Black's Power from Lira is sitting on the second position with 29 points. Midigo Calvary from Yumbe District, after their sweet win over Onduparaka Football Club, are currently sitting on the third position with 25 points, as Buhimba are in the Onduparaka Football Club, also not away from also getting chance of qualifications, is sitting on the fifth position, and that's also with 22 points, as Paida Black Angels, another team also which many people thought could be bouncing back to the Southern Uganda Premier League next season, also sitting on the sixth position with 20 points, but still not also far away from also getting the qualifications. If at all, they also win their games. And Kataka also sitting on the seventh position with 20 points, as Chinda Boys are with 19 points on that's on eighth position. Busoga United are sitting on the ninth position with 17 points. as Karo Karunji also really are sitting on the 10th position with 16 points. On the 11th position is Tunga Saze with 15 points. Meanwhile, in the Denza zone, we have Tigeze Homeboys with 14 points, Arroyo Sports Club with also 13 points, and Boma with 13 points, as Maida summarized the table with also 9 points in there. That's also really how we are seeing the table standings. Keeping on following on this also really, as we are seeing Buhimba and Calvary also really set also to return in action. That's also really on the second in there, and that's how we shall be seeing the 4 big league returning. And we hope at the end of the day at least 1 or 2 teams from the West Nile sub-region or Northern Uganda at least must qualify for the Southern Uganda Premier League, because at the moment we don't have any team from the entire Northern Uganda, starting off from Acholi, Lango, West Nile, and Karamoja in the top tier of Uganda League. So I think that's already very much bad. But of course, we are still following up and we want to see at least any team from Northern Uganda also qualifying for the Southern Uganda Premier League come next season in there. And we must give them the support. That means you also must start going for these games, because the little monies you're paying us Get Pass really contributes enough support for these clubs also to do their activities. So I think it's also very much proper for us now to start going up towards some of these games to make sure that the clubs also really raise monies in there. And that is also something at the end of the day which also brings us to what's happening in the Southern Uganda Premier League. We shall be seeing action returning. That's on the 11th of this month, as Wakiso Giants will be returning also up in action against Villa in an interesting game, as Vipers in another interesting game will be hosting URA, as Lugazi will be tussling it out with also the Police FC. Maroons will be taking up, that is also Bright Stars, that's on the 12th, as Bull will be returning in action against Express Football Club. Mbale Heroes will be returning, that's on the 13th, against that's also Mbale Heroes will be taking on Bara City, that is on the 13th in there, and that's something which we shall be keeping you posted, as Owen Ezaga with Linda Suzy hopefully will be bouncing back to give you more details of what's happening in the world of sports. That's on the Wishu time. But of course, last night we had some crying. These are the Arsenal fans. The unexpected again happened again when they were beaten by 2-0, and Alexander Sak continues to add more misery and more tears in the supporters and fans of Arsenal Football Club. And we did see them also being thrown out of also really one of the interesting leagues in there. That's the Carabao Cup, and that's something which is happening as other leagues so did go on, where we did see Copa del Rey happening in the quarterfinal stages. We were able to see Real Madrid beating Leganés by 3-2 in an interesting game there. And we were able to see also really in the EFL, still as I mentioned earlier on, Arsenal being beaten by Newcastle by 2-0. That means Newcastle was able to enjoy both rides, that is both home and away, over Arsenal Football Club. But of course, that's one thing which we did see, and that puts also Arteta's also fate of winning trophies for this club in judgment in there. That is also entirely to you, the Arsenal fans. Do you think he is the right coach? Do you think he will be delivering you to the promised land? These are questions you must now be asking yourself, because the January transfer window did close, with Arsenal not also signing any striker, yet everyone knows that the club's challenge at the moment is a finisher, a striker who is also really complete in there, as also really, which something also which is lacking. At the end of the day, we shall be keeping you posted in there. And today we shall be seeing a number of games going on. That is in the international leagues, where we shall be seeing Serie A returning, as Fiorentina will be taking on Inter Milan. Meanwhile, in the Copa del Rey, we shall be seeing at the quarterfinal stages, Real Sociedad will be taking on Osasuna, as Valencia will be hosting, that's solely Barcelona in there. And in the Carabao Cup, which is known as the EFL, still at the semi-final stages, tonight we shall be seeing Liverpool returning also in the second leg also against Tottenham. Will it be the same thing happening? Definitely we shall be keeping you posted tomorrow, as Owen Ezaga, Linda Suzy will be keeping you posted in the subsequent program of the Whistle Time that always come through every Mondays to Fridays, right from 2 to 3 p.m. They will be giving out comprehensive and detailed analysis of what is happening in the world of sports. With that, I come to the end of the show. I want to thank you so much. You watched us right from the time we began until this hour of the morning. I want to say thank you so much. I'm out until tomorrow. Have a blessed day. And to the Army and the APDF, I also want to wish you happy Easter celebrations. We are still celebrating with you, and we shall always be proud of the Army, which also today is being also really talked of as one of the professional Army forces. Definitely, we're appreciative of you. We also want to wish you a fruitful celebration in there, and we shall be coming back tomorrow for the same time and for the same program. I'm out. Have